So when we talk developmental theory and we look at how someone develops over time, we talk about their sense of self. And by sense of self, we mean, how do I know who I am, what I feel, what I think, what my experience is, how I choose behaviors, and then that's the rest of the world outside of me. That there is a clear boundary delineation between who I am and who the rest of the world is. If my parents or caregivers meet my need most of the time, that when I go to them, they will give me safety, comfort, understanding. Over time, what happens is I start to remember what they did and I internalize that memory and they sort of live inside of me. We have a really crazy name called transmuting internalizations in psychology, and that's basically I transfer the big person into me and they live in me now. So if I am upset and my parent has done that enough, I can sort of do it inside myself. Everybody can imagine the 5-year-old that runs in, scrapes their knee, "Mom!" and runs out of the house again. In that moment, that child internalized the mom and said, she would tell me I'm okay, and it's just a scraped knee. And so that's what we want our children to start developing, their sense of, I can regulate myself. I know who I am and I can start to regulate my own energy because I have to be a big person on my own in the world. I can't rely on my parents to meet all my needs or my caregivers to meet all my needs. Now, most of the time is important. It brings us to Donald Winnicott, who is a pediatrician, was in Freud's time, and he told us that good enough parenting is optimal parenting, which is really hard for parents to understand, that if you are the perfect parent and you never falter, that child never develops the ability to self-soothe and internalize you in a way and then use you to build their own muscles to be in the world. So good enough means I do it enough of the time, and then when I fail, the child knows how to do it on their own. Mom's just having a bad day. It's very different than I don't know how to regulate myself. So the ability to soothe ourselves when we are having an activated need is hugely important. Part of our job as parents is to help kids tolerate when they feel bad, knowing they're not alone, we're with them, we'll help them soothe. And when we're not there, the image of us inside of them helps them soothe. So that's good enough parenting. You don't want perfect parenting because then you disable your kid in the world because they don't have those muscles to know how to do it without you. And that seems to be a very big problem these days with the helicopter parenting that we're hearing about. Whereas really well-intentioned parents are doing too much for their children out of love, but it's not giving them the opportunity to grow these muscles. Winnicott talked about the container, creating the right container. So the contract when you become a parent that's unspoken is, I gotcha, right? I gotcha. I'm going to create a safe space for you, you little being, so that I'll make sure you're not physically harmed, psychologically harmed, energetically harmed. I gotcha. Newborns, it's this. Toddlers, it's this. They go to school, the container has to get a little wider. It's got to get developmentally appropriate, right? Teenagers, they want no container, so parents are like, no, you're not going yet. Right? There are some rules, there are some boundaries, there are some things you have choice over and some things you do not have choice over. Because in the container, the child is supposed to have the freedom that they safely can bounce around in and have some choice. And what we're going to talk about in a minute is what happens when a child is in an unsafe container and adapts to the adult. And a whole bunch of psychological stuff happens. You can have kids that try to create their own container, right? If they know nobody is holding them down, they got to start going, okay, how do I get to school? How do I get lunch? How do I do my homework? How do I take care of mom so she can go to work so that she can, so I start doing all the work if I'm a little one with no container. And what happens with these people often is they have perfectionistic If you've ever known anybody really tightly perfectionistic, oftentimes that's because they had to hold their own container. And when you do it as a kid, it doesn't really mature the same way it should. And it stays really young. And what I see is lifelong anxiety. So somebody comes in my office with lifelong anxiety. I felt this way since a kid. I've always been anxious. Immediately I go to, what was your container like? Because if I have to be my own container and I'm a little one, it causes great anxiety. And then that kind of gets built into their development of their sense of self. Let's go the other way. Parents that go really tight, the helicopter parents. The helicopter parents are the ones that the container is too tight, so the kid doesn't develop those muscles. They don't have the opportunities to develop mastery, use those muscles of, I can do this on my own, and know that they have agency in the world. We talk about the 3 different types of parents. One is the too loose, one is the too tight. Just right. Take it from Goldilocks. The too tight tends to either go rebellion, I'm going to push off of you, or collapse of, I guess I can't do anything anyway. The too loose is the anxiety that I just talked about. The just right is the ones that say, I gotcha, and I have more power than you because you're smaller, and I should. I will respect you, but I have more power than you, and I'll give you some choice. And I'll give you more and more and more choice as you grow up, which is developmentally appropriate. I won't keep it so tight. I will let you grow. Let the container grow as you grow. The next thing is attunement. And attunement is somebody came walking through the door. We would tune into them. We would automatically go, oh, hey, who are you? What you doing? Right? If they came in crying, we'd be like, oh, what's up? They came in laughing, we'd be like, oh, what's up? Right? Like, do you notice how your energy attunes to the person in front of you? So that's sort of a natural thing we do in relationship, and it's very natural for parents to go, hey, honey, what's going on? Right? To go right down to their level and attune to them. When you attune to a child that is having an emotion and you feel it with them, I tune into them, right? And the child loves it because we have these mirror neurons that say, I need to feel felt. And when you feel with me, I grow and I know who I am. So tuning into a child and saying, hey, oh, you're so sad. Oh, you're so happy. Whatever it is, you meet an emotion with an emotion, the whole system relaxes because they feel felt and they're in connected relationship with somebody important. So they're safe. Now, oftentimes, if a child is having an emotion we don't like, we kind of tolerate it when they're babies. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they all need soothing. And then as soon as they get to be like ornery toddlers, you're like, would you just stop? You know what I mean? Like, it turns into that. You know, just, oh, God, come on. This is not cry-worthy. Stop. You know, right? So you can see how it's not always easy to attune as we grow up. You know, that babies, it's like, oh, you would never tell this one to stop crying. But this one, oh. Right? So again, what we're hoping for is there enough attunement early enough that you did it enough so that when you lose it, and when they're 6, they go, all right, she lost it today, stay away from her today, you know? So that ability to tune in, because if Isabel is my mother, and I go running to her like, woo, and she attunes to me and says, oh, honey, you're so sad. I can see you're so sad. I feel it. What happened? I not only feel felt, I feel safe, but I now know what I feel. She just named it for me. I'm sad, and I'm sad because of this. And then the internal structures start to happen in me. I start to know how to put my experience, file it in me. And those are the structures. We often call them ego structures, but it's all in the development of the sense of self, that I know who I am. So that attunement starts to develop the sense of self. this is a really important one. So if there's three big components to the development of the sense of self, it's attachment, attunement, and mirroring. And mirroring is huge. And it starts out so basic that it happens automatically. What do you do when a baby goes, you mirrored me very nicely on that one, gotta say. Right, the baby goes, blah, 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 you go, blah, 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 you know, and the baby goes, oh, there I am, right? And it starts to develop internal structures of, I know who I am by how I'm getting mirrored. Mommy, 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 look, 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 look. And you go, wow, look at that, look at the colors used, look at the child is getting mirrored so that it's, oh yeah, that's who I am. I'm smart and I'm artistic and I'm kind over here and I can be sort of bad over there because I wasn't very nice. In terms of mirroring, it's not all positive, right? Now, all positive mirroring is the cheerleading. Yay! Everybody gets a trophy. You're amazing. You're awesome. Nah, I'm not awesome all the time. I know I'm not awesome all the time. So if you tell me I'm awesome all the time, I'm not going to believe anything you say because that's not true. It's not going to feel true to me. Kids know that. So when we mirror, we want accurate mirroring. Positive mirroring, which is what we did 20 years ago to build self-esteem. We said everybody needs self-esteem. So everybody's awesome and everybody gets a trophy and everybody, you know, is amazing. And what I think we developed was people with very low self-esteem because it didn't feel true. It wasn't accurate all the time. And it was also very performance-based because we were talking a lot about performance when we were doing this self-esteem yay thing. And I'll get into that in a minute. Who can you trust to be your mirror? So as we grow, we have the same issues. Who do you in your life trust to be your mirror? Do they really know you? And are they healthy enough to see you versus their own projection? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. We bring things up into their awareness. They have to have some choice. They don't have much choice. They can't choose a different home or a different school or a different neighborhood, or right? The choice they have is who I let inside me to define me and who I do not. That you can start teaching kids pretty early on of who do you trust and what would they say about who you are. You let in the good mirrors, the accurate mirrors, and we need to start keeping at the door the ones that are toxic. Okay, so this is an important piece to help parents. The two major types of mirroring is you either marry the person or you mirror their performance. And if they're both important, but this is the meat and potatoes. Mirroring the person at core, their gem, who they are, that is the thing that develops their knowing of their worth. Because the gem doesn't lose value. The core of them never loses value, no matter what behavior they have. That doesn't define who they are at core. So worth doesn't go up and down. Self-esteem goes up and down. Because self-esteem is perception. If I perceive something as done well, my self-esteem will go up. When I perceive that I've done something bad, my self-esteem will go down. My self-worth stays there. So mirroring the person is what creates self-worth. We have to help parents do this, which is the core places. You are loving, you are kind, you are resilient, you are loyal, you are intelligent, you are like the core places. Performance is how you did. And we have a society that is just running on self-esteem and running on performance-driven. I am only as good as my last performance. And then that creates a huge amount of anxiety because I just have to keep performing. We have so many kids growing up right now that feel like if they're not awesome, they suck. And we have set these kids up because of the wrong type of mirroring. So we really have to help parents understand. Now the last piece I'm going to say is about mirroring is in that development of the sense of self. And I'll use Tracy here. So if I am a child and I am running over to Tracy saying, mommy, 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 look what I did, look what I did, right? And she goes, oh, honey, amazing, right? I get mirrored, I get attuned to, I feel safe in the attachment relationship. Woo, all's good, I'm swimming, right? I'm doing great. I go running and Tracy is in bed with depression. Mommy, 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 look. And she does a, oh God, can you stop? Would you just stop already? Ah, it's so bright, you talk so loud. Okay, now I'm confused because her emotion wasn't what I felt. So I don't understand myself because I need her to help me understand myself. And I'm not getting what I need. I need connection. So I abandon my needs and I go, Mom, let me lower the blinds and I'll talk really softly. Can I get you anything? And the child adapts to the adult. And when the child starts adapting to the adult, right, that, what we call that is it develops an adaptive sense of self. That I know I'm okay if she's okay. And now instead of being that wonderful spark in the container that's going to grow, I'm now outside of myself making sure she's okay or the other big people in my life are okay, and then I'll be okay. And that's that external locus of control. Then that creates the potential for personality disorders. Because my sense of who I am is always shifting, given things outside of me. So I do a whole bunch of defense coping mechanisms to stay safe because the world is shifting. I'm not inside of myself. I'm out negotiating the world to get a sense of my worth. So the classic codependent relational dance is I will abandon me, give to you, and then hoping you will love me back and then I will feel filled up, right? So that's the classic codependent dance, which is what I just described, right? That dance of self-abandonment to overgive to hopefully get something back. You use this understanding of the sense of self as a therapist to help people on their healing journey. Thanks for your attention.